Have you ever felt it? That primal, ice-cold certainty that something is deeply, fundamentally wrong? Not just a bad day or a piece of worrying news, but a seismic shift in the very fabric of reality. A feeling that the world you went to sleep in is not the one you've woken up to. What would you do right now if the background noise of your life, the traffic, the neighbors, the distant hum of the city was replaced by an unnerving silence, broken only by screams? This isn't a fantasy. This is a question of instinct, of survival. Because in a world turned upside down, the first, and perhaps the only, rule is the simplest one. Run. It wouldn't begin with a bang. It never does. It would start as a whisper, a statistical anomaly on the other side of the world. A news report you scroll past on your phone, unidentified aggressive rabies-like outbreak contained. The authorities would use calming, clinical language. Neurological disorder, isolated incidents, public health response. They would lie, not necessarily out of malice, but out of a desperate, futile attempt to prevent the one thing more contagious than the disease itself, panic. But the whispers would grow louder. The internet, a chaotic storm of information and disinformation, would be the first real battleground. Grainy phone footage from a quarantine zone, dismissed as a hoax. A leaked memo from a public health official, branded as fear-mongering. You'd see it, perhaps. A video of a man in a hospital corridor, thrashing with an inhuman strength, his eyes vacant, his movements jerky and unnatural. You'd feel a chill, a flicker of disbelief. You'd close the tab. It's too much. It can't be real. The moment of truth wouldn't be on a screen. It would be outside your own window. It would be your neighbor, a man you've shared polite nods with for years, stumbling down the pavement in broad daylight, his jaw slack, a dark stain spreading across his shirt. Or it would be the first time the emergency broadcast system truly screams to life, not with a test, but with a frantic, terrified voice telling you to lock your doors, to stay inside, and then, static. That is the moment of discovery. The moment the abstract horror becomes a concrete reality. The monster isn't a creature from a far-off land. It's your mailman, your coworker, your family. The virus doesn't just kill, it corrupts. It takes the familiar and turns it into the profane. And in that horrifying instant, you understand that the rulebook of your entire life has just been set on fire. The undead are not the primary threat. They are merely the catalyst. The true, world-ending threat is the collapse of the complex, fragile systems that sustain our way of life. We are a civilization built on interdependence, and when one thread is pulled, the entire tapestry unravels with breathtaking speed. First, the infrastructure dies. The power grid, maintained by thousands of people who are now either dead, infected, or desperately trying to protect their own families, flickers and fails. With it goes everything. Clean water stops pumping to your tap. The internet, the global brain of our species, goes dark. Communication becomes a memory. Supermarket shelves, restocked by supply chains that cross continents, are stripped bare in hours, and they will never be restocked again. The world you know, a world of convenience and light, plunges into a medieval darkness. Then comes the second, more insidious threat, us. Humanity. In the absence of law, of consequence, fear becomes the new currency. Desperate people do desperate things. A father trying to find medicine for his child is no longer a neighbor, he is a competitor, a threat. The initial chaos is a storm of violence born not of malice, but of terror. Communities turn on themselves. The trust that binds society together evaporates. Your greatest danger in those first few weeks may not be the shambling dead, but the terrified living, who see in your supplies their own salvation. And finally, there is the nature of the infection itself. The zombies are not just monsters to be fought. They are a relentless, unthinking force of nature, like a flood or a fire. They don't sleep. They don't tire. They don't reason. They are a walking, biting symbol of our own mortality, a constant, pressing weight on the landscape. Every single one is a tragedy. A person who once had a life, hopes, and dreams, now reduced to a mindless vessel of contagion. They are the ultimate psychological weapon, a constant reminder of what you could become. The world has fallen. The noise has stopped. You are alone, in the silence, with your beating heart. What do you do? The first answer is the title of this lesson: run. Do not hesitate. Do not try to be a hero. The initial wave is not survivable through confrontation. Your goal is not to fight, it is to disappear. Get away from population centers. Every person is a potential carrier, every city a death trap. Your objective is to put distance between yourself and the chaos. Move quietly, move at night if you must. Avoid main roads. Follow rivers, cut through forests. Become a ghost. Once you find a defensible, temporary location, your new life is governed by a simple trinity: shelter, water, food. Shelter isn't just a roof, it's security. A remote farmhouse, an abandoned warehouse, a place with limited entry points that you can fortify. Water is life. Find a clean source. A river, a stream, a well. Learn to boil it, to filter it. A running tap is a luxury that no longer exists. Food is fuel. Scavenge intelligently. Canned goods are gold. Non-perishables are diamonds. But this will run out. You must learn what is edible in the wild, how to hunt or trap silently. You must become a provider in the harshest sense. But physical survival is only half the battle. The true war is fought inside your own mind. The weight of loss, of loneliness, of horror is immense. It will crush you if you let it. You must fight it with routine. Create a schedule. A time to scavenge, a time to fortify, a time to rest. Purpose is the antidote to despair. And eventually, you must overcome the instinct to remain alone. A lone wolf is a dead wolf. The future of humanity lies in the pack. But trust is the most valuable and dangerous commodity in this new world. You must learn to read people, to test them, to find the few who understand that cooperation is not a weakness, but the only viable strength. A shared watch is better than no sleep. A shared meal is a feast. A shared story is a flicker of the old world, a reason to keep fighting for a new one. Weeks become months. Months become years. The initial cataclysm is over. The survivors, hardened and wizened, remain. This is where the true story of humanity begins. Not the story of how we died, but the story of how we endured. The greatest lesson the apocalypse teaches is humility. We learned that our complex civilization was a glass house, and we were throwing stones. The new world is built on a foundation of brutal pragmatism. We learn to fight the dead not with panic brute force, but with strategy. We learn their weaknesses, their lack of intelligence, their herd mentality. We create diversions, set traps, and clear areas with methodical, patient precision. Fighting becomes less about combat and more about pest control. And as we clear the land, we begin to rebuild. It starts small. A fortified settlement around a working farm. A community that relearns the old ways. Blacksmithing, farming, weaving, herbal medicine. Knowledge becomes the ultimate currency. A person who can set a broken bone or repair a generator is more valuable than a king. We teach our children not from textbooks, but from experience. How to read the sky for weather, how to identify edible plants, how to be silent in the woods. This new humanity, forged in the crucible of the apocalypse, could be something stronger. A humanity that values community over consumption, resilience over comfort, and skill over status. The slate was wiped clean by fire and death, and on it, we have the chance to write a new chapter. We are no longer just surviving. We are living. We are building a world not for ourselves, but for the generations to come, a world that will remember the cost of complacency. The world didn't end. It was simply reset. And in that reset, we rediscovered what it truly means to be human. The story is hypothetical, but the questions are real. It forces us to look at our own world, our own skills, and our own character. So I ask you, what would you do? More importantly, what skill, what piece of knowledge, what part of your character would be your greatest asset in a world rebuilt from scratch? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This is a conversation worth having. If this journey resonated with you, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the human condition, and share it. You never know who might need to hear it. Thank you for watching.